Sorry about that. I'm back.
I love your profile picture.
Oh, Edna. I love Edna.
I was going to be Edna for Halloween this year.
You have the fringe, so you can just do it. Yes, that would be so cool. That would be cool. Is everybody here? Should we wait a couple more minutes?
Maybe like 1 more minute and then.
1 more minute, okay. Did you see what the university is trying to do for homecoming week? That the different days you dress up in different colors, and on Friday, of course, it's going to be Baylor colors, but for all the different days, they have special themes. Or at least multicultural affairs do.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. I only saw the thing about the boxcar race.
Oh, yes. Where are they going to have that? I mean, is it going to be a shorter parade?
I'm not too sure. I didn't really read much into it.
That's actually pretty fun. I would like to just see all those cars.
All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to RID Breakout session number 2. Today, we'll be hearing from Dr. Klausmeier, who is the Director of Undergraduate Research, and she'll be talking about all of the different pre-health internships that hopefully will be going next summer. All right, Dr. Kay, over to you.
Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. Again, my name is Riz Klausmeier. I am a senior lecturer in the chemistry department, but I only teach 1 class in chemistry now. So I'm going to talk to you about what the pre-health office has for summer internship, and then we're going to talk about BTRUE at the very end. So in terms of research, we have 3 different types of internship. The first ones that we're going to talk about is going to be summer research that are actually intensive. So you're required to be in lab for 40 hours per week, and you do quite a bit of research. And the first one we're going to talk about, well, one of them is the Baylor-BCM Tropical Disease Internship. We actually call this one TDRIP. And the second one, of course, is BTRUE. We also have 2 internships that are going to be in the summer, but they're not that labor intensive. And the first one is here in Waco, and it's the Hillcrest Clinical Research Practicum. And the second one, it's also administrated. I shouldn't have said that you're not going to work as hard, because the CMO actually, you do work hard. And it's a chief medical officer, and we have 3 different ones, 2 in Dallas and 1 in San Antonio. And then separate from those are summer internships. We have a year-long internship at the VA hospital here in Waco as well, which we actually tell students to treat as if you are taking a class. So you're going to spend around 9 hours every week doing research at the VA hospital. And it's going to be mostly psychology and neuroscience research. They do have a new lab in biochemistry, and we're trying to get more students into that particular research. Let me start with the year-long internship. And this one, again, it's a VA, it's a Center of Excellence Research Program, and it's VA CERP. And that is the building that you see, that's the entrance. The actual building that you work would actually be going to the left of this building that you see there, which is the Psychology and Neuroscience building. And it's actually a research building. And of course, you work with veterans in here, but the most important part of this is that if you're a psychology or a neuroscience major, this would be fantastic for you, particularly if you want to go forward and get into graduate school, because you do need the research to go to graduate school. We require a minimum GPA of 3.0. Of course, the higher the better, because we get a lot of applications for it. And they do have quite a bit of space, 10 to 15. Lately, we haven't been getting the the 10 to 15, like for example, this year, there's only 4 that are active right now, but we want to go back and get 10 students over there. We've been doing this internship for at least 7 years. So it's very solid. We know what we're doing, and it's actually a very good experience. Now, you do have to do a lot of phone calls because you're actually just doing surveys. A lot of the research is with survey. So you call the veterans and you gather the data, and they have been preferring students that have seen statistics before. It tends to work better with managing the numbers. That's not to say that everything that they do is only on phone. Of course, there are projects that are research in the lab with patients. Now, the time commitment is 10 hours per week. So that's why we ask the students to treat it as a class and actually schedule maybe 3 afternoons, 3 hours, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that you can spend over there, because you have to drive over there. So it wouldn't make any sense if you actually just go every day for 1 hour, because it takes you 15 minutes to get there and 15 to get back. And you do have to commit for the whole year. Now, you do get credit, research credit for doing this, and you can get either psychology research credit or neuroscience research credit. Now, the catch is that this is a federal facility, so you have to work while the facility is open, and the facility is only open from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. So whatever research you do, it has to be at that time. And again, we start in August, around the moving weekend. So before classes start, and you go to April. And then at the very end, you actually present a poster. So you get to put this not only as an internship in your resume, you actually add a presentation on it on your resume again. Oh no. All right. So that was the VA. I'm going to have them Zoom with us. Usually I have them in January and February, because they can explain much better all the different research programs that they have. They do a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder, and they do traumatic brain injury research there as well. Now, the summer internships. Let's start with the newest one. The newest one is TDRIP, which is Tropical Disease Research Internship Program. And this one is in Houston in the Baylor College of Medicine, particularly the National School of Tropical Medicine. Now, if you look right there in the middle, that Dr. Hotes on the left and Dr. Botassi on the right. I'm sure you have seen Dr. Hotes everywhere. He's just in CNN and in all the different networks with 3 letters, just talking about COVID. And he just wrote a new book. He was advertising it on Twitter. But this internship is actually a fantastic experience for students, because you will be working in their research lab. So there's around 3 to 6 positions available. They want people that are dedicated, that they really want to do research. And you will start at usually the last week of May, and you will finish a little bit before August begins. So maybe the last week of July. And they do that because then Dr. Botassi and Dr. Hotes, they usually go on vacation during August. But here's the catch. What they do is they make vaccines. So they want students that actually have biochemistry, at least 1 semester of biochemistry. So now we're just talking about juniors, rising juniors or rising seniors in here. Not that we haven't taken sophomores, we have done it before. But when we did it, actually we took a freshman. For some reason we got a freshman, and she was perfectly fine, except that it was very difficult to understand the biochemistry concepts that she was working with. But it is possible. Now, the time commitment is 40 or more hours per week. So this is a full-time job, and we don't pay you. This one doesn't have, all right. None of the internships we have any money associated with with it. The dress code, of course, you're going to be using a lab coat while you're in lab, but we want you to dress a little bit nicer because you're also going to be going to the same talk that the SMART students, the students in the SMART program at BCM are going. So they're going to talks with a lot of doctors. So we want you to look and represent Baylor really nicely. Again, we don't pay you. And it's kind of difficult if you don't live in Houston because then you're going to have to pay for your own accommodations, for food and parking. But if you can actually just do it, this is a fantastic internship because they may invite you for a second summer if you're really good. If they really like what you're doing, you will get invited for a second summer. And this is a picture of us, Sanker's in the back, somewhere in there. This was the first group that we actually sent over there in 2017. And again, you're gonna do research on neglected tropical and emerging infectious diseases. And what they do is that they make the vaccines for those diseases that the pharmaceutical companies don't find them. They're not big money makers. So Dr. Hotez goes around the United States and the world around the world trying to get donors so that he can keep the research going. And in the meantime, Dr. Botassi is the one that stays in Houston managing the labs. And you're gonna learn a lot about translational research, public policy, and global health. Now, a regular summer, what you do in TDRIP is that you get paired, not with a graduate student, you get paired with a postdoc. And the first couple of weeks, you're gonna be reading everything that you can over vaccines and the technique and the disease that you will be studying. And then the rest of the summer is gonna be research, research, research. You're going to be going to seminars, and that's why we want you to dress professionally. And then during the nights, you can go and enjoy, if COVID is over by then you will enjoy the nightlife and all the things that Houston has to offer. They will offer you an opportunity to shadow. Remember, you're going to actually be surrounded by doctors because it's in the medical complex. So they have plenty of contacts and you will be able to shadow. And then you're going to do a presentation. And for this one, we actually go, Dr. Sanker and I actually go to listen to our students over there. But all the people that have been working with you in the lab will also be there. And Dr. Hotez always asks a question. Again, some students have been invited back for another summer. And last year, one of them was invited to actually spend a gap year with them. And I think they actually found some money to pay her. So that's kind of nice. This is the second one. To tell you the truth, this one did not happen this summer because of COVID. So it's the Hillcrest Clinical Research Practicum, or I just call it Hillcrest, but it's in the Scott and White clinic here. And this one is very good because any pre-health at any given time in their education can actually participate in this one. The majority of the students that we accept, of course, are going to be sophomores and juniors, but we have 10 to 15 positions available. It all depends on how many of the doctors they have and the nurses they have are going to have time to manage your research because you have to be overseen by somebody there. It starts in early June and it goes to August, so it's the whole summer. But the commitment is only 20 hours. So if you need to take a class at Baylor, or maybe you need to take a class at MCC, and you're already paying rent for your apartment, then you can also do this internship. Now, usually you're paired with another student or maybe 2 other students so that you can work in a group, and you come up with a project by using all the feedback that the nurses and the doctors give you. Sometimes they already have something in mind that you can study, but sometimes they want the student to think about what they're seeing in the hospital and how to fix it. The dress code is business casual, and business casual does not include jeans at all. So khakis or black pants or blue pants, but never ever jeans. And these are some of the examples of the projects that we've had in the past. So if you look at it, some of them are just straight going into the system and looking at different data. So stroke data from 2011 to 2013, methadone use versus NAS use, and retrospective studies. There's a lot of retrospective studies that you can do there. But lately what they have been doing is actually talking to the people on the floor. So you would be assigned to maybe the labor and delivery, or you will be assigned to cardiac. And over there, they want you to actually solve one of the problems that they had. And in two years ago, one of the problems was that whenever they were taking blood samples, some of the blood samples were always contaminated. And the students actually observed what the technicians were doing, and they concluded that it was because they were not washing their hands or disinfecting their hands efficiently before taking the sample. And it was funny because they had to actually just be very careful and watch what the technician was doing without the technician kind of knowing that they were watching, because once they caught on to the fact that they were being watched, they started cleaning their hands, which is what we wanted them to do anyway. Now, the third one is the Chief Medical Officer, and we have 3 different internships for this. Like the title implies, you normally, years ago, normally you would follow the Chief Medical Officer or one of the top administrators at the hospital and seeing what they do on a day-to-day basis. Last year, they kind of, again, COVID destroyed our CMO, but Dr. Sanker was able to survive it. So he did a version of CMO online, and he really, really liked it. So he contacted a lot of alumni that were already in medical school or were already doctors. And those alumni actually kind of adopted a little group of students, and they were able to do a project together. So hopefully, if we don't get the real CMO, we can have it online. So I think between Dr. Sanker and Dr. Nielsen, who we lost because, well, he retired, they did a really good job last summer and they enjoyed it. But this one, look at how they're dressed. This is a business position. Again, you're going to be following the CMO. They may actually give you access to the Chief Financial Officer and all those C-something officers that I don't remember right now, but there's a lot of them. Since there's 3 internships, there could be up to 7 positions available. It all depends on how many people can observe. The time commitment is a big time commitment. It's 40 hours a week. This one is shorter than the other ones. It's only 8 weeks, but it's intensive. You're actually doing a lot of observing. So you dress business professional, again, because you're going to business meetings with the administration of the hospital. Now, because of the COVID, and well, no, before COVID, we lost the funding on this. So the hospitals were actually not paying the students anymore. So this is something that we want to be able to just pay you, but the hospitals are a little bit on the iffy side with the money. And these are some of the ones we have. So if you look at the bottom, we have Baylor Scott and White in Dallas. So that one usually takes 2 students. The Genesis in Dallas, it depends on the year. Sometimes they take 1, sometimes they take 3. So it varies. And Dr. Nielsen was able to start the one in the Methodist Hospital in San Antonio. And we always start small with 1 student. So we can have up to 7 if we beg a lot. All right. So those are the internships that the pre-health office has. We used to have more, but we lost a few over the years. We're trying to get them back, particularly the one that is with the Providence Hospital. So when Providence Hospital actually got together with Ascension, they decided to just scrape all the research, including our research groups. So we want to get it back, but we will try. BTRUE is different. BTRUE is with the STEM departments. And BTRUE stands for Baylor Transdisciplinary Research Undergraduate Experience. And the year that we actually started this, the administration at PATNEF were throwing transdisciplinary left and right. So we thought, hey, if we put transdisciplinary in the title, they will actually like it and they'll give us money. It didn't work that way, but that was the thinking. So what is BTRUE? BTRUE is, of course, it's a research internship and it's kind of intensive. You're gonna be in the lab for 10 weeks, working 40 hours a week. And we want to actually provide a rigorous and in-depth research experience across the STEM departments at Baylor. You're gonna be, at the end, you're gonna be prepared for top quality graduate programs. That's cute. BTRUE offers a summer stipend of $4,000. And I say that it's cute because that was when the deans actually kind of gave us money. And now they're not giving us any money. So last year, even though we did not have BTRUE in the labs, we actually asked the students if they would do BTRUE for $2,000. And all the students actually came through and said, yes, I would do it for $2,000. So I'm hoping that I can get BTRUE again this year in the labs for at least $2,000. That's if the deans don't want to help us. It's non-residential, so we don't offer you any housing. And who can apply? Well, if you're in a STEM discipline, then you can apply. Biology, chemistry, environmental science, psychology, and neuroscience, those are our main departments, but we've had people from geosciences, we've had a student from physics. Last year, we were gonna have an anthropology and a bioinformatics students before COVID happened, and then we didn't have anybody. But we're trying to actually include more and more people. As long as I can get the department to pay for a student, then we can have a student from that department. Priority is usually given to rising sophomores and juniors because they need a research experience before they graduate. All right, so you're gonna be in a lab with your professor, and that's gonna be 38 hours a week. You're gonna be doing your research, sometimes more depending on the lab that you join. But again, you're going to be doing the research that the professor is doing. And then 2 hours a week, you're going to be going to career seminars. And the other one, it's what we call journal club. So we're trying to train you to speak in front of people, so public speaking. So we want you to present not the research that you're doing, because you won't have enough research to actually present it, but the research that's being done in the lab that you're working in, so that you read the papers and you get a better understanding of what you're doing. So fellows are expected to work the whole week. That's your main job, is to be in the lab. And we want you to attend all the Friday seminars, which are the career development seminars. On Tuesdays, we usually have the journal club, which the students actually present a research paper. And at the very end, we may have either a poster session or an oral presentation. And we call it Summer Research Symposium. Now, since you're being paid and you're working 40 hours a week, we try to discourage students from working or taking classes as well, because that would just put too much stress on you. The application is going to open on December 1st and close. It's going to close this year on February 26th, which is a Friday. What I want you to do is to update your resume or your CV. If you're a scientist, you most likely have a CV. And I want a picture of yourself. It's not because I'm going to judge you, but it's because I want to actually be able to recognize you in a meeting. So I need a picture of you. You will need the email address of a science professor who has agreed to give you a recommendation. Now, this is not that you have to arrange for a letter of recommendation to be sent to me. That's not what I want. I need the email because then I'll send that professor a quick evaluation form. I don't know if you have noticed that the professors at the BSB, they write too many letters of recommendation. And since we have a lot of applicants for BTRUE, we have just simplified the process. So they just have to click a couple of buttons to make sure that you're not a weirdo and that you're kind of okay to work in a lab. You're not gonna blow up anything. So it's a quick recommendation. Again, it's not a letter, official letter. I will actually contact the professor. Now, here's the kicker. The kicker is the last one. Because you're going to be working in a lab with a professor, we need you to get the consent of that professor. So you have to do a little bit of legwork before you are applying to this. So you need to go to that professor and ask them, if you get accepted into BTRUE, can you do research in their lab? If you're doing research already, you may not even have to ask them. Then, of course, they're going to accept you in their lab because you're already there, unless they don't like you, in which case they won't accept you. But there has been some instances in which the students have not talked to the professor, and then the professor actually looks at, I don't know this person, I have never talked to this student, I don't know why they want to work with me at all. So it's better if you talk to them a little bit ahead of time. Dwayne Simmons, Dr. Dwayne Simmons is the chair of the biology department, and he is a champion in undergraduate research. And he was the one that came up with the idea of making starting a summer program for Baylor students only. And he is the one that created BTRUE. I helped a little, but he was the one that actually asked for money. And that is very important in any type of program that you want to start. So he is the mastermind of BTRUE. I like the contact with the students, so I'm the one that manages the students. That's how I explain it anyway. Now, again, it's important that you have the approval of the professor before you apply, because if the professor doesn't recognize your name, they may not be interested in having you in their lab. They need to know who you are. And here, the dates on this one are correct. I'm going to open the application on December 1st, and I'm going to leave it open for the longest time till February 26th. And then on that day, I'll download everything. And what I do, I don't pick students. What I do is that I separate the students that have applied to the biology department, the chemistry, psychology, neuroscience, maybe physics, environmental science, and then I send the chairs and the professors that were requested an email with the list, and they fight it off. I don't fight for anybody, and then they send me a list of the students that they want to actually have in the lab. That has been working a lot better than when we pick the students for them. Since they're putting up the money to pay you, then they should have a bigger say on who joins the labs. That's it. That's all I have for you. Do you have any questions that I can answer?
So this summer, I'll be a rising senior. I was wondering if I get equal priority as rising sophomores and rising juniors.
Are you graduating in December?
I wouldn't be graduating next December. I would be graduating in May of 2022.
And you have equal chances.
Okay, thank you. And also, is it just a CV with the picture that's required, or do we also need like a cover letter and stuff?
I don't remember my application now, which is kind of embarrassing. I believe that I have several questions that I want you to answer, including the name of the professor that you want to work with. And the graduation date and all those little things, but I want to actually gauge how interested you are. So there's going to be some questions in there that you will need to answer. That's for the BTRUE. If you're applying to the pre-health internships, there's going to be a letter that you have to write saying, basically selling yourself, telling me I'm the best thing that you will have in any lab ever. So it would be good for you to give me this internship. But that's for the pre-health ones.
Thank you.
You're welcome. More questions? Oh, there's one in the chat. Are there any restrictions on the recommending professor, such as specifically a previous lab coordinator or lecture professor? No, there are no restrictions. The only thing that I can tell you right now is that if you have a science professor, we don't care what they taught you. It would be a little better than if you get recommended by an English professor. Because again, we want to know whether we can tell whether a student would be good in lab, and because we have been in lab for a long time, better than an English professor telling us that you're going to be excellent in lab. I have nothing against English professors. I just decided to pick on them because I was picking this morning on what did I pick this morning on? Oh, history. Sorry. I pick my different arts and humanities to pick on. Sorry.
I have a quick question. So
Yes.
for the recommendation, can we get it from the same professor whose lab that we want to work in, or does it have to be a different professor?
If you can get me the recommendation from the same professor that you want to work in, that is like a stamp of approval that yes, I want this person to work in my lab because she's already there.
Okay. I have a follow-up question then.
Yeah.
So if it's a bioinformatics lab, so like that technically falls under computer science, like would that still work as a recommendation, or would we actually have to get a science professor?
No, computer science is a science. It has science in the title. I do have to talk to, no, it's not because I don't like the letter, but I would have to talk to the computer science to make sure that they have money to pay you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. And I got funding for a student last summer before they canceled us. So it's not gonna be that big of a stretch. I know who to contact.
Thank you.
Don't be shy. Come on.
We have a question in the chat here saying, are the internships mentioned also open for international students?
Ooh, the one at the VA, the answer is no. The one at the VA, oh, I don't know what I did. Okay, hold on. The one at the VA is for citizens. The other ones, I believe they're open for everybody.
And then one more question, as a medical humanities major, would I still be able to apply to BTRUE and do a lab in a science?
You can apply again to BTRUE. The problem is that some of the departments, particularly, let me just say the chemistry department, they like to pay the students that are their own majors. And that's one example. So in that sense, then the medical humanities students are a little bit in trouble with the BTRUE. Unless we talk to Dr. Oh, I forgot her name. Oh dear. Baron. And she, gives us a little bit of money so that you can work in a lab. And I'm sorry that I have to mention money so much, but it's true. It's all depending on how much funding we actually get. It's sad. More questions. Oh. with regards to the biochemistry department, would that mean university scholar students be at a disadvantage as they won't be a chemistry major? Actually, no. All the departments consider university scholars and science fellows like their own majors. But the new dean of Honors College actually mentioned passing that he has, that he would like to actually contribute so that university scholars can join the BTRUE program. So it just takes an email from me and hopefully it will work. But yeah, that would be good.
Well, if there are no further questions, thank you so much, Dr. K. This was
Oh,
a
you're
great
welcome.
resource for everyone.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really enjoyed it.
Of course, if you want to stay on just for one more minute, I'm going to take a photo for publicity purposes. So for those of you that don't have your camera on, if you can, that would be great. I'm going to take a photo of everyone. I'm going to take 2 photos. So you can either do a stick-em or just smile, whatever you're comfortable with. All right, so 3 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Okay, just 1 second. 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. And then I'm going to be linking the sign-in sheet in the chat. Okay, so please fill that out for credit. Other than that, you have a 14, or no, I can't do math. Okay, 4:30.
24.
Yes, so that will be the keynote speech at 4:30. And so we will see everyone then. Thank you, Dr. K, so much. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.